Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, the Beauty Myth. Learn the beauty secrets of the goddess next door in this action-packed Isis series adventure. Get Isis, the Beauty Myth at online booksellers everywhere today.
Hollywood Historical Women in Crisis. One of my viewers wanted me to do another installment in the Historical Women in Crisis series. And for this installment in the Historical Women in Crisis series, I am going to be talking about Peaches Geldof. All images used in this video are under fair use of United States copyright law of 1976 and are used in conjunction with my commentary. Now, Peaches Geldof was the daughter of Bob Geldof, an infamous musician and producer in the UK, and Paula Yates, an infamous hostess of a show like The Tube, who had an affair with late INXS singer Michael Hutchence. And Peaches Geldof was the second child of Bob Geldof and Paula Yates, and Peaches Geldof sadly wound up on the road to becoming a woman in crisis after the passing of her mother, Paula Yates. Now, Paula Yates' death was something that Peaches Geldof never really got to grieve, and because she never grieved her mother, she never really processed all of her feelings as related to the death of her mother, who died of a heroin overdose in 2000. And the reason why she possibly wasn't able to process the death of her mother was because her beta male father, Bob Geldof, did not want to deal with the feelings that were related to the death of Paula Yates, and because he didn't want to deal with it because he wanted to keep his world smooth. He didn't want to deal with the conflicts, problems, and issues as related to the memory of his ex-wife, and because he didn't want to deal with the memories of his ex-wife and the emotions attached to the memories of his ex-wife, he wanted to suppress those feelings, and his daughter wanted to suppress them as well, following his model, because he wanted to keep calm and carry on. But sometimes you can't keep calm and carry on, especially with the passing of a mother. The passing of a mother is a very painful thing, and from what I've heard from those who have experienced it, like Ringo, you feel like you're alone. You feel like you don't have anybody at that point, because nobody supports you like your mother, and this possibly was a thing that stayed with Peaches Geldof. She possibly was suppressing all of these feelings as related to it, because she says that she found it hard to talk about. She blocked it out and went to school the next day because her father wanted her to carry on, and she acted like nothing happened. But it happened, and she wasn't able to grieve or cry at the funeral, and she felt numb. And again, that numbness was her suppressing her feelings, and suppressing your feelings is not good, because people who suppress their feelings, like beta males do, what happens is these people explode, and they destroy, and they participate in destructive behaviors, and they participate in destructive behaviors because they're holding so many emotions in. And that's possibly what happened here with Peaches Geldof. She was just holding in so much as related to the death of her mother, and she didn't really deal with those feelings until she says she was about 16 years old. But by the time she was 16 years old, she was possibly dealing with a lot of further stress. And again, things just got really bad, because when you're dealing with that grief, or later on, it just simmers and boils within you, and that hurt just stays within you, and you just stay with it again for so long. And that's possibly what happened to Peaches Geldof to bring her into a very pattern of this destructive behavior, because Peaches Geldof, well, on the surface, while she was working towards success, hadn't dealt with the death of her mother. And since she had not dealt with the death of her mother, she was still out here trying to persevere and trying to work through it, because that's what a lot of individuals try to do. They try to work through their grief. And again, this is what she was trying to do out here as she was out here working. She again grew up in the UK, started going to Queen's College in London, and moved out of her father's house. She was looking to go out here and continue to work on being successful. Unfortunately, she hadn't worked on her issues as related to things. And even though she had gone out here and gone to college, got married, and was writing columns for magazines like Elle Girl and modeling and having a lot of success, unfortunately, she was still dealing with the issues as related to her mother. And as she was dealing with the issues to her mother, sadly, she wound up on the same road and pattern of her mother. And as she wound up on the same pattern of behavior as her mother, she started allegedly getting involved with drugs and like heroin. And also, this possibly cost her a six-figure deal with Ultimo, because the thing was, as her worlds were colliding as related to things, the Ultimo dropped her as related to nude pictures and allegations of drug abuse, and she wanted to go out here and again be successful. But the whole thing is, her issues with her mother's death ironically led to her going on the same road as her mother, because her mother, Paula Yates, she was a very successful woman, but Paula Yates's dysfunction basically led to her derailing her life, and her derailing her life led to her daughters like Tiger Lily and Peaches Geldof finding her dead. And sadly, Peaches Geldof basically wound up on the same road. And she wound up on the same road because, again, she saw at 11 years old, she saw her mother die. And it just was, that's one of those things that stays with a child into adulthood, to see your mother die in a very tragic fashion. That is one of the things that can traumatize a child and stay with them. And this is the thing that possibly led to Peaches Geldof later on having problems in her personal life, because she had one marriage that ended in divorce, and then wound up getting married to another man who she had 2 children with 1 year after the other. And it's after having that second child in 2013, she was out here still participating in, again, drug use and participating in drugs, and wound up, sadly, on 2014, dying of a drug overdose. And after she sadly passed away from this drug overdose, Peaches Geldof became a woman in crisis that sadly wound up losing her own life, the same way her mother wound up losing her life, because Paula Yates died of a heroin drug overdose because she wanted to take a hit of heroin, and Paula Yates was found dead in front of her home. And again, Peaches Geldof sadly died the same way her mother did, and it was one of those things that possibly was the trauma that stayed with her as related to this her mother's death. And again, the death of her mother possibly led to her following in her mother's footsteps, and sadly she didn't get the help that she needed. Even though she had a strong support system, she had a husband who was looking to look out for her and was looking to help her. But the whole thing was that Peaches Geldof was just in so much possible pain behind the scenes. Even though she had success, she was dealing with a crisis. And again, Peaches Geldof was a woman in crisis, and she's a sad case of the mother following the daughter. And what happens when you have a mother who models dysfunction? It leads to a daughter who becomes a woman in crisis, just like her mother. Now, if you want to learn more about what leads to women becoming women in crisis, you can pick up my book, The Woman Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Woman Crisis at other online booksellers like Smashwords, the iBookstore, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, and Target. And if you want to see me make more videos like this, You can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. And if I know something about that woman in crisis, I will make that video for you. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Now available in paperback. From the author of the critically acclaimed book The Man Crisis comes The Woman Crisis. Learn why so many women have become lost in their quest to have it all in The Woman Crisis. Get your copy of The Woman Crisis in paperback at Amazon.com and online booksellers today.